Peace, fam. This video talks about PFOAs, which are known as perfluorooctanoic acid. Now, this is the material used to make Teflon covering for pots and pans and various other utensils. Now, one of the things you'll find out in this video is that it's used in many other products, and 98% of the Western populace is estimated to be contaminated with it. Now, I watched a documentary on this particular chemical, and it seemed to be a good way to reiterate why constantly detoxing is necessary, as well as taking preemptive measures like multivitamins, natural chelators, and basically a lifestyle that promotes profuse sweating at least 3 times a week. Now, I highly recommend you get your hands on this documentary and watch the whole thing. It's called The Devil That You Know. Now, I used a certain footage that I thought was most telling of the degree of damage and potential detriment to the human health this chemical seems to be responsible for. Now, I'll do a few small narratives as the film rolls through to stress certain points, so bear with me as they come up. To bring you up to speed, a farmer lost his whole herd of cattle when the company DuPont made a deal with him to use some of his land for production of their material. DuPont was dumping poison in the water near his ranch, and as he found out, the courts got involved. Now, this clip intro is part of the information revealed about PFOAs during a deposition. So this is where I'll come in at.
They're doing a deposition on a toxicologist for DuPont.
When did you first become involved with APFO or C8?
I was first aware of it prior to 1977, knowing that perfluorinated materials had been found in human blood.
At first, 3M and DuPont were checking to see the contamination levels of their workers. And so naturally, they needed a control. They needed to compare those workers' blood levels of C8 with the population so they could see what the difference was. So they started going to archived blood supplies and checking to see what clean blood versus the blood of their workers might look like. There was no clean blood. They tested kids, they tested adults, they went to Asia, they went all over the world, and everywhere they looked practically, they found their chemicals in people's blood. Eventually, they did find some clean blood. It turned out it was the blood that had been taken from Army recruits and archived, saved, at the start of the Korean War. That blood was clean because the Teflon chemicals weren't out into the environment at that point. The main sources of exposure are still something of a mystery. The likely culprits, though, are industrial waste and the consumer products that shed this material over time. Today, every baby, probably on the planet, but certainly in the developed world, where all of these chemicals are widely used, every baby is born with at least some level of C8, of PFOS and PFOA in their blood. That's the essence of exposure, lifelong exposure, and it's involuntary. No one said, hey, I'm good with a little Teflon chemical in my baby's blood. No one said that. They said, I love these pans. We think of these chemicals as associated with 3M and DuPont, but they also had sold them to other companies that manufactured consumer products, manufacturing products. It was used in airplanes and cars, on and on. The applications were endless.
Workers are now using Teflon to rust-proof the inside of the Statue of Liberty.
They found that these chemicals could bond paper products to make food wraps, grease-proof wraps, cookie bags. One of the largest companies had patents for making popcorn bags.
Thousands of facilities, including the furniture store down the street that sprayed a nonstick chemical on your couch to keep stains off. All of those places became environmental contamination sites.
And today, a product that you'll find Teflon is in clothing and things. Gore-Tex is the brand name. These are apparently...
And then you realize that companies in Asia and in Europe were starting to make these chemicals as well.
Teflon PTFE-Beschichtung aus?
This crisis had been growing for decades.
I think with a chemical that potentially is biopersistent, you pay particularly close attention to it.
Bioaccumulation, biopersistence, those are fancy words for it.
What do you mean by biopersistent?
When you die and they bury you, you're going to have it in your blood.
And you're going to have it in your blood because this material never degrades. It never breaks down in the environment or inside the body.
CA seem to have a long half-life in humans.
Sunlight doesn't break them down. Microbes don't break them down. Heat doesn't break them down. Nothing breaks them down.
They called this fluorine chemical the devil's piss. It was so potent.
Once it gets into your system, it remains in your blood.
My gut tells me the biopersistence issue will kill us because of an overwhelming public attitude that anything that is biopersistent is harmful.
And so naturally, these Teflon and Scotchgard chemicals permeated the living world. We didn't know it at the time, but the evidence showed that 3M and DuPont, they knew all about it.
Now, a side note, it should also be noted that this particular chemical also causes thyroid disease, okay, amongst the various cancers and colitis, etc. Now, that in itself can spin off into a variety of symptoms and ailments. A lot of people who are obese and cannot lose weight no matter what type of regimen they implement suffer from a thyroid dysfunction. So I just wanted to share that. I learned something that I had not known before, and I presume that as a health conscious being, if I don't know, there's a small chance that those who may not practice as heavily as I do, they may not know either. So in short, I hope you've learned something as well. Peace. If this information has helped you in any way, or you found it valuable, don't hesitate to subscribe. Also, for consultations, go to listeners101store.com, navigate down to the health consultations link, and from there it will take you to our health library page where you can receive a consultation.